really wanted to focus on doing something purely that I could control. I feel a little bit of pressure coming into the Sydney show.
Chloe Hunt, an inspiring fitness competitor,
Constantly leveling up.
back-to-back shows. What motivated you to compete in another show and jump into another prep so quickly?
So, funny story actually.
Welcome to the Conch Closet podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm super excited to be chatting to Chloe Hunt today, who is an inspiring fitness competitor. She placed third in her show last year in October and is on stage again in just a few weeks in the FMG Sydney show. Chloe, welcome. How are you feeling?
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah. I'm a bit nervous, but I am stepping out of my comfort zone and I'm really excited to film today's podcast with you. So thank you for having me on.
That's what we love to hear, stepping outside of your comfort zone. I feel like competing is all about that as well. So let's start by sharing your journey for your first comp in October and what inspired you to start competing.
So I followed Lauren Simpson a while ago now. I actually think I started following her around the time that she had her bowel surgery. So I didn't actually see that she'd competed just yet. But, upon following her journey post bowel surgery, I started stalking her page a little bit more and she was posting that she'd done a bikini competition. I was like, oh my God, that looks so sick. Like, got to look into this. But to be honest, I didn't actually look too far into it until Kayla Ether started competing. So Kayla and I actually did gymnastics together a while ago. So being a local and seeing her around the area and stuff, I was watching her journey like really closely. And then that's when I sort of started to look into it a little bit more to see what it was all about. And then when I dove in a little bit deeper and I saw that there was a theme wear category, I was like, okay, this is a bit of me and I will definitely be doing this one day. So that was sort of the start of it. And then what inspired me, for me, like not so much going into like my why, but I really wanted to focus on doing something purely that I could control. So I've always done like a lot of team sports and stuff like that. And I will always do sport of some sort or go to the gym. But I think just, putting something that's solely focusing on everything that I can control, then that was pretty much why I wanted to compete and what inspired me. So, yeah.
Yes, I absolutely love that. And you mentioned obviously gymnastics and sports and things. When did you actually start training in the gym? Like how long before your first show?
So I've probably been training for probably like I would say close to 5 years in the gym. So I started off when I went out of school. I was training at F45 with my mum for a few years, and then I just started to go to a gym. I think Anytime Fitness was the first gym that I went to with my partner, now fiance. I think I signed up. My first gym membership was actually like 2 weeks before COVID hit. So, in terms of actually following programs and stuff, it's probably been, close to 2 years per se. But yeah, my first gym session was an F45 session with my mom.
Oh, amazing. I love that. That's so cool that your mum's into fitness as well.
Yeah.
So obviously you're competing again in a few weeks in Sydney,
Yeah.
back-to-back shows. What motivated you to compete in another show and jump into another prep so quickly?
So, funny story actually. I had sort of had my mind on competing before I even competed in November. So, when all the chaos was going down with the WBFF overseas, which obviously we won't get into today, I went to one of the posing workshops leading up to my first show, and I had a nice, genuine chat with Ari, and he was saying, he sort of told me the dates and, potential location of the show. And I was like, "Ooh, okay. Once my mind's on something, I'm like, it's very hard to stop me to try and do something. So I actually went home and booked accommodation for the Sydney show before they even announced the new federation or the dates or anything like that. But just like the whole journey leading up to the November show in the first place, I really liked the whole aspect of it, like just with the mindset growth and all the training, the dedication, all the time that you put into it. So I think leading up to it, I was keen to do it again anyway. And then, of course, like once show day came around and all the peak week protocols and everything, the photo shoots, I was pretty keen to do it again.
I love that mindset, like enjoying the journey and
Yeah,
not just focusing on the final day. Did
totally.
you enjoy the day itself, like show day,
I
as well as
did.
the journey?
It went so quickly. Like it's and to be honest, like when I first started doing the prep, I wasn't really like focused so much on the journey because I'd never done anything like it before. But I think, you know, along the whole year of just putting my mind into one thing, I actually realized like how important it actually is to enjoy the journey opposed to I'm competing on this date and blah blah blah. Like it's not just the day that you should enjoy, like enjoy the whole journey, the ups and downs, like learning how to pose, meeting new friends and new people, going to different gyms and training with, people you meet along the way. So that was, yeah, the whole journey is just incredible.
Yes, I absolutely love that. I think that is something that I see definitely in successful competitors and competitors that can keep coming back and doing back to back shows is just loving that journey and appreciating the
100%.
growth that you get.
For sure. And I think as well, just to add on to that as well, just supporting other competitors as well, because a lot of people say that it's, a lonely sport or, it is a selfish sport. But I think at the end of the day, when you do when you do connect with other competitors, at the end of the day, you go through the same thing and you can relate to other competitors of how you're feeling and stuff like that. Like you can always chat to your coaches and partners and friends. But I think when you're actually going through a prep with someone you've met along the way, it's a lot easier to feel like relatable and all of that stuff. So I hope that makes sense.
Yes, I completely agree with that. Some of the best friends I have are friends that I've made through prep. And like you said, they're going through the same thing as you. And I feel like everyone doing a show has the same level of commitment and just
Yeah.
something like in their mind that actually makes them be able to do it. And you can kind of connect on that level, which is pretty cool.
Totally. And one thing I learned as well was like, when you do connect with that person, some days you'll have a bad day, but the person that you've connected with and you're on the journey with, like, they have a good day and then they motivate you and say it's okay, and then vice versa when they're having a bad day and you're having a good day. So I think it's really like important to make those friendships and, help each other through the whole journey.
Yes, for sure. And speaking of friendships and other girls competing, have you struggled at all with comparison, looking at other girls on Instagram or feeling threatened by anyone?
Definitely the second time round because I have had a shorter prep. The first time round, not so much. Like I was really just in my own lane and solely focused on everything that I'm doing. But I think of course, like we're all human, we do go through the comparison trap sometimes, or you go on a little stalk on Instagram and see what other competitors are up to. But I definitely do have my days where I have fallen into that comparison trap, but I do my best to, just you focus on what you can do and how much effort you put into your training and nutrition and all of that. So try not to fall into that comparison trap if you can.
Yeah, definitely. And how are you managing your, I guess, like physical and mental recovery with doing back to back preps? It's obviously quite taxing on your body
Yeah.
as well as your mind.
For sure. So, to be honest, second time round, my body's feeling pretty good. I think because I was able to have that break and that little bit of flexibility over Christmas and stuff. So, definitely getting back up to that and sort of maintenance calories, did definitely help me before I came back into a cut. But I've definitely focused a lot more on my recovery this time round and trying to, be a little bit more, active on going to get massages and things like that, which has definitely helped. And then as well trying not to be as lazy with not foam rolling or not stretching. The first time I was terrible, but the second time round, I've definitely prioritized a lot more stretching and a lot more foam rolling. So definitely if you're thinking of competing or you're in a prep, you know focus on your recovery as much as you can. If you can afford to go and get massages and saunas and do that sort of stuff, 100% do it. So that's the physical side. Mentally, back to back, it's a lot harder than what I expected, to be honest, just in terms of I think going back into a deficit so quickly, like my mind is like I don't want to be in a deficit anymore. Like I want to go out on date nights and have that flexibility and the freedom, but also at the end of the day, like I always say, prep is a privilege, and I don't try and complain about that sort of stuff. Like at the end of the day, you've chosen to do it. So as much as I am craving that flexibility and that freedom, I'm just, that food's always going to be there, or those date nights are always going to come back around. So I think just, trying to focus on what your goal is in front of you. And then, yeah, mentality is a massive thing that I've noticed. Like, speak positively to yourself, put positive words and affirmations and stuff out there, and try not to be so negative about it, I guess.
Yeah, you can tell you have such a strong mindset and you've obviously worked on that as well. Do you have a bit of a game plan post show?
In terms of mindset or goals, or
In terms of mindset and how you're going to manage like the recovery and reverse process?
yeah. So I think last reverse, I don't think I did too badly considering I'd never done a reverse diet before. I did actually end up probably overeating my calories a little bit too much on the weekends, which ultimately, instead of doing a reverse diet, I ended up having to push a recovery diet and bringing my calories up a lot quicker. But I think after being in a prep for so long last year, I had a holiday booked afterwards. So I did stay on the Gold Coast for an extra week, and I wasn't really tracking my food and stuff like that. Whereas this time round, the game plan is being in Sydney. I live in Sydney. So I'm going straight back to work on the Monday. I'll be trying to do my meal prep and stuff as I go. And I think just making sure that I am sticking to my reverse calories as much as possible. And although, having the flexibility of going out for a breakfast or a lunch or a dinner, just making sure that I am, you know, nailing that reverse diet as best as I can.
Yes, amazing. And coming third and it was your first comp, right?
Yeah, first comp ever.
Wow, that is an absolutely incredible achievement and something
Yeah,
a lot of girls aspire for in their first show as a
thank you
podium
so much.
finish. So
Yeah.
well done. How has that experience changed your mindset and I guess your approach coming into the Sydney show?
Um, in terms of mindset, it's I feel a little bit of pressure coming into the Sydney show, but I am just, still trying to control all the controllables that I can. In terms of mindset, I guess, you know, I don't know. Yeah, I would love to bring another top placing if I can, but trying not to put that pressure on myself, and, just really focusing on, every day, just ticking the boxes, doing your training and your steps, your cardio, all the things that come along with prep. Yeah, I don't know.
I completely agree with that. And I feel like when you know that you've put 100% into the prep as well, no matter what happens on the day, you'll be able to accept what your placing is.
Totally. And I think that's the most important thing is, like, if you know that you've ticked all the boxes that you can and you've put in your best effort, then at the end of the day, you're not going to be disappointed whether you place, top 10, you come last, you come first. Like, as long as you've, done everything that you can, you'll be so proud of yourself. And that's exactly the feeling that I had last time. I could not believe I got a top placing. And I actually, like, I watched my stage video and I actually laughed because I actually stayed switched on the whole time. And when they were calling out the awards, I did a little hair flick before I got my award. Like, I was still being judged. So I laugh at that every single time. But yeah, honestly, just mindset is just, keep doing what I've been doing, and just, on the day, just make sure that you bring your best. I'm just going to be me, and hopefully what comes with it, who knows?
I love that you still did your hair flick when you got called out for the
Yeah.
awards. That's so
My
good.
dad
Obviously,
laughed at me. He was like, "You did a little hair flick," and I was like, "I know." And then I was like, "What did I just do that for? Like, I'm not even being judged anymore."
obviously the posing is like ingrained into you. You must have
Right?
practiced a lot. When did you start
Yeah.
posing?
So I started posing actually in February in 2023. Yeah, we competed last year. I competed and started posing in February. So I was posing for the whole year.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
It's never
that's
too
amazing.
early to start.
How did you build up your confidence with posing? Like, did it come naturally to you?
It didn't come naturally. Like, I definitely very awkward, but I think just, having such a long time to get familiar with different poses and, watch other shows and watch other competitors, previous shows as well. I think just, fine tuning what you like doing as well, and finding a posing coach that, collaborates with you and doesn't just give you a routine to practice over and over and over. Like, I think I've changed a lot of my posing, throughout the entire journey. And I think it's just, exactly doing that, just practicing and just getting confident in the shapes that you're creating and the way that you're moving, and you'll find, your little sass or your little vibe. So, yeah.
You've definitely found yours. I've seen your stage videos and your posing videos. You're looking absolutely incredible.
Oh, thank you.
So what areas have you been focusing on improving since your last competition? Did you get feedback from your first show?
Yeah, I did. So my feedback, because I competed in two categories. So I competed in the bikini category and bikini short, and then I also competed in the fitness category. Um, Before I started cutting, I think we were pretty much just focusing on the fitness category, but then obviously cutting down, you don't realize, like, how small and how lean you can get. But my judging feedback was pretty much that I was too small for fitness, but I had the conditioning that they were looking for. And then for bikini, I was a little bit too lean, and they'd probably like to see me a little bit more full and a bit more curvy. And then a few different things, bringing out fuller glutes. Also, if I was going to build into fitness, I'd have to take some time off and build a bigger back and stuff like that. So pretty much working on a lot of leg strength and a lot of the back days, which I love. So yeah, bigger back, bigger glutes, and a bit fuller. So yeah, that's what we've been focusing on improving this time round.
So what categories are you competing in this time around?
So this time round, with the a little bit of the changes in the judging criteria, I will be competing in bikini, and I'm also going to be doing the bikini athletic category, which is a new category. So that will be really exciting.
Yes, I'm so excited to watch that category. I definitely feel like there was a need for that. So it'll be really interesting to see how many girls turn up for that category
I
and
know.
also, yeah, what everyone's looking like.
At this point, I actually think it looks like, from what I've seen on Instagram, like, I reckon it might even be bigger than the bikini category. Like, I've seen so many competitors post that they're doing bikini athletic. I'm like, wow, this is going to be insane.
I think there's a lot of hype around having a new category as well. I remember when
Oh,
wellness came out in the first WBFF shows that they did that, there were so many girls in wellness and they
yeah.
weren't split up into height categories. So I
Wow.
just remember them like they kept on coming out in the last show.
100%. You're like, oh, where does it end?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think there'll be a lot of crossovers, to be honest, though, but definitely looking forward to seeing what that category holds for the future, for sure.
Very exciting. So, taking a bit of a different topic, I've been loving your content creation lately. Can
Oh,
you
thank
talk about like, how you've been using your platform to inspire people and kind of what you've been doing in that area?
Yeah. Well, I've really been loving the content creation, actually, and it started from when I started prep. I was like, maybe I should, like, document this a little bit. But in terms of, inspiring people, like, I think I've posted a lot of, like, what I'm doing day to day, not so much the reasoning why I'm doing what I'm doing, but, just sharing my journey. And, I do hope that that inspires other people. But I think post show, I really want to do some more educational content on, around food, and, like, instead of me posting just like why, like, what I'm meal prepping, put the reasons out behind, like, why I'm meal prepping what I'm doing. And then same with, training, giving a little bit more tips around, technique and form and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it at the moment, loving, like, the whole thing, both creating and editing. So I hope that that does inspire people. But yeah, like I said, post show, I want to try and put a bit more focus on, more educational content.
Yeah, you're absolutely killing it. How do you balance that content creation with prep? Obviously, both are quite demanding things.
Yeah, 100%. I have noticed a few times it's hard to edit and upload so quickly. But I actually only work part time, so I feel like I am able to have that little bit more balance. And I've tried to structure my routine so on the weekends I try and film as much as I can, and then say Monday and Tuesday, like I'll edit stuff and upload stuff, or schedule my YouTube videos, or if I do have a bit of time, I'll try and edit as I go, so it's not so much like I'm sitting down for like an hour, 2 hours, just like constantly editing videos. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably the best way I can describe, just having a bit of a structure to it.
Yeah, for sure. And do you kind of structure your days as well? Do you plan those out in advance?
100%. I am an organized queen. I have to I have to have things in like time blocks and structure, and I have to have a day mapped out. So usually on a Sunday I'll sit down and be like, okay, what does my week look like? What appointments do I have? When am I going to get my training and all my steps and all of that sort of stuff in? So I'm a very big organizer.
Yes, amazing. And do you have all of your peak week appointments booked in? I know it can
Yes.
get pretty busy with all the beauty appointments.
Yes, I do have them all booked in. I just confirmed my makeup appointment for Rego Night actually this morning. But yes, also I'll touch on like having a prep diary that you guys have brought out, the Comp Closet or Sarah Moore. Very good
Yeah.
prep girls. So get onto a prep diary if you can, guys. They are really helpful.
Didn't even pay you to say that.
Nope.
They are back in stock now as well. So
Oh,
yeah, guys, check them
good.
out.
Yeah, get onto those.
So you mentioned you're working part-time. What are you doing?
So I am a face-to-face personal trainer. So I'm employed at a little gym in Mascot. If you guys live in Sydney, and it's just a little PT studio. So just really small knit. There's only 4 trainers, and we have our days very structured. So yeah, just an face-to-face PT.
Awesome. And has your experience competing influenced the way you're coaching others at all?
I think, yeah, a little bit in terms of like just trying to teach people that when you actually commit to your goals and you show up for yourself and you do the hard work, and it really shows like how much you can do and how proud of yourself you can be when you actually commit to your goals and say you're doing what you're gonna sorry say what am I trying to say, um like actually committing to doing what you said you were going to do. So I think that's been a really big game changer for teaching clients that anything's possible and you will be proud of yourself if you put in the work.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it would be very easy for them to be inspired by you as well if they're following your journey.
Yeah.
Speaking of goals as well, what are your goals for the Sydney show?
Um, well, I am very competitive, so I'd be lying if I said, I didn't want to, try and bring another top placing coming into my second show. But also touching on before, not putting any pressure on myself, just, controlling my controllables. And at the end of the day, whatever happens on the day, I can't control what happens. I can only control, how I show up on the day and bringing my energy and just being myself. So, yeah, I would love a top placing, but like I said, control your controllables and you'll just have to see what happens. So
Stay tuned.
stay tuned.
And do you have any long-term goals in the sport? Like, what are you hoping to get out of competing?
Ooh, good question. Well, first of all, definitely after this show, my brain, my body, and my bank account needs a break. But long term in the sport, I would love to compete overseas. I think that would be epic. I don't know where or when, but that would be, that would probably be a dream come true, actually. Nice to be able to travel and compete somewhere.
Yes,
So,
for sure. Have a little holiday afterwards.
yeah, that'd be nice. But yeah, I think just long term in the sport, just constantly improving on the package that I brought into the previous show, and just, constantly leveling up, mindset, training, all of it. So, yeah.
I think that's a beautiful thing about this sport as well, is that you can just keep going for that constant improvement and you've always got your last package to beat. So, you
Totally.
can keep going forever, really improving on yourself.
At the end of the day, it's you versus you. So, every prep's going to be different. And I've learnt that this time. I feel like I'm being a lot harder on myself this time round. Being a shorter prep, I am definitely being harder on myself, not seeing the scale weight move and all of that sort of stuff. But again, that comes down to, building up even stronger mindset, just stick at it, just keep going. So, whenever you decide to compete, you're always just trying to improve on what you did last time or how you can be better the next time.
For sure. And everyone's journey is different. And that includes your own prep journey from one prep for one show to your prep for another show. You can't compare your two preps because so many things changed in your
I
body and your
know,
life. And
like
yeah, that's
the
when it gets hard.
protocols, everything.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to someone doing back to back shows?
Don't do it. No, no, seriously, I would say just definitely make sure that you trust your coaches and you do have a good relationship with them. You know, understand like why you want to go back into a back-to-back prep so quickly. And I think just as well, just being really mindful of what your partner say thinks, make sure that they're okay with it and get their opinion, even with your friendship circle. Like, just make sure that you've got that support system around you. Otherwise, it will be a lot harder. And I've definitely learned that this time. Like, I don't really want to go out to a lot more events or anything like that because I just purely don't have the energy to do it. But yeah, just making sure that you trust your circle, you trust your coaches, and at the end of the day, the stage is always going to be there. So if it is putting a strain on your relationship, both, a partner or your friendship circle, just keep those people's feelings in mind too, because it is a very selfish sport. And, I think at the end of the day, ask yourself, is it going to be worth it doing a back to back prep and potentially ruining some of those relationships? Or, does your partner and your friend group fully support you and are happy for you to do it again? So I think just keep that in mind. The stage will always be there. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really a great advice. And do you have any advice for managing relationships and friendships for someone who's possibly about to enter a comp prep?
Definitely. My biggest thing that I've learned is communication. So obviously doing my first prep, I didn't know what to expect, but you always hear about competitors say, it gets hard, you get hungry, you get tired, but I think the biggest learning for me is, sometimes you don't actually know when those mood swings or those things are going to happen. Like, you can just have a good day one day and then have a bad day the next. But I think communication and just telling people that, hey, I've heard that this is how you can feel in a prep, or hey, I'm feeling not so good today, like, I'm feeling a little bit irritable or whatever. Just, I think just explaining how you feel is super, super important. And I think, putting that into people's mind before you even go through those emotions or go through those feelings is important. And even like saying to people in advance, like, hey guys, I'm doing this really big thing. If I can't come to an event or if I'm a bit slow with responding with messages and stuff like that, like, this is the reason why. Like, it's got nothing to do with you. So I think just really like putting those expectations out there and having that communication from the start, that's definitely had a massive, massive help.
Yeah, those are really good tips. And I think to add to that, if friends and family and your partner and things like that, if they understand how much it means to you and they see you putting in that much work, then they're going to support you anyways.
Totally. Well, one thing that my mum noticed actually, so I went to their place for dinner one night. Last prep, I took my food and stuff, and they had their own food, but I was just always so cold, and I didn't know like that was a thing. Like, when your body fat percentage gets down so low, you're freezing all the time. And I remember coming over in like my dressing gown and my my pajamas. Did not care. I was like, I'm coming over in my pajamas, and I was just sitting there freezing, and everybody's like, like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm just like really cold. So my mom put the heater on for me and she's like, I didn't realize like how much like it, does to you or whatever. So,
Yeah,
yes,
I think that's such a big thing. If you're starting prep soon, especially going into winter, make
yeah,
sure you have an hoodie and lots of woolly socks.
100%. And if you're going to do walks outside, then rug up.
Yeah, all the layers.
All the layers.
Alrighty, that's all the questions I had, but I do have a few questions from the question box on Instagram, so we'll run through a couple of those. Who is your biggest inspiration in competing?
Ooh. So my biggest inspiration in competing would probably have to be Hattie Boydell. She's just amazing. Mindset, training, she's just the whole package.
Yeah, she's insane. I agree.
It's insane. Totally.
How long has this prep been, and is it different to your last prep?
Definitely different to the last prep. Last prep was probably about 24 to 16 week cut, whereas this time round it has been a lot shorter. I think it's been about 8 weeks, and I think just cutting calories a lot quicker and also having a higher output like really quickly has definitely been you know a bit harder this time round and definitely different.
Yeah, and just managing that recovery.
Managing the recovery as much as you can, yeah.
Okay, and last one, how are you finding prep while organizing a wedding?
Oh my gosh. Well, I am organized, so it's actually been really good to be honest because this time round my mindset towards prep was I really wanted to try and just be a little bit more, lifestyle about it, not so much like I'm doing prep like in terms of like I'm going to be doing my training, I'm going to be doing my, steps. I've always meal prepped, so I'm trying to take that away from this isn't just prep. I actually do this in life anyway. But planning a wedding, I have been so good. We've got a list of things. We've already ticked off like a lot of the big ticket items. So if anything, it's actually been really good to have two separate focuses because it keeps my mind off food and it keeps me busy and productive. Focusing on something else.
Yeah, keeping busy is a great hack for when you're hungry.
100%. Yeah.
So when's the wedding? How long have you got?
So the wedding is in February. So hence why I have no plans on competing anytime soon. I will not be competing at the end of the year in October, and I will probably not be competing straight after my wedding either. So yeah,
That's
no,
really
wedding is
exciting.
in February, so I'm super excited about that.
Oh, amazing. Congrats. And it'll be cool for you to watch a show as well at the
For
end of this year.
sure. Definitely. That might be a little escape before the wedding.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Just quickly, where can people find you if they want to learn more about your journey and see all the updates from the Sydney show?
So my Instagram is at Chloe Hunt, and you can find my YouTube linked in there as well. So anything in my bio. I've also, although I am a face-to-face PT, I will leave a little sneaky peeky. I am trying to launch my online business towards the end of the month, which lines up with my birthday, which is peak week of the show. So follow my Instagram, and I will keep you posted on some coaching options that I will have coming up as well.
That is very exciting. Wow, a lot of exciting things happening in one week.
I know, right? Oh my goodness.
Well, good luck for the rest of your prep and good luck for your show. I will be there to cheer you on. And thanks again for
Yay!
joining us.
Thanks so much for having me, Sarah. It was a pleasure.